You're listening to the A Bit From Within podcast with Felicia Marty. This heaviness that I can't just fake my way through. And maybe it's just that I'm tired. Maybe I need to sit and actually just acknowledge, wow, you've been going really fast. You've been going through a lot. You need to drink some water and chill out a little bit and let yourself reset. And I think there's some truth to that. But I also think it comes back to letting go. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to a new episode of the A Bit From Within podcast. I'm Felicia, so excited to be here with you today and just sharing a little bit of what's been going on for me. I feel like this past week has been such a roller coaster. I'll start back about a week ago. It was my birthday, and actually last week's episode was so much fun because Dave was hosting and he interviewed me, and that was kind of a very special role reversal, and I felt just like that was a great moment and kind of something fun to do between him and I, but then also for the podcast. And, we kind of touched on it, just a hint and last week, but I'm really big on birthdays. I love birthdays. I think birthdays are a big deal. I know that everyone kind of feels differently about birthdays. Some people, it's just another day. Some people always do something for themselves. For me, I just like to think of this as like a very sacred time of year for me. It's a time that I like to do a lot of reflection, a time that I like to have a little bit of fun. Sometimes we like to go and take trips on birthdays. We've gone to Pagosa Springs and Buena Vista and Glenwood Springs since Dave and I have been together, but this year we didn't do any of that. And, a friend of mine had asked me, what do you want for your birthday? And the only thing that I could tell her was peace and quiet. And that kind of affected how I wanted this birthday to go, because I have had such a busy summer so far. And I told myself I wasn't going to go on and on about how busy, and I say that in air quotes, just like my business is busy. It's great. It is what it is. And I don't want to go on and on about it. But because of that, I really just wanted to stay close to home. I didn't want to have to book a hotel anywhere. I didn't want to have to be in a car. Even though I'm sure that would have been fun, I just wanted to be here. And what I really wanted, my original vision, was to spend some time with my mom on the Monday, go maybe get a manicure and pedicure or something like that, and then hang out Monday night. And then Tuesday morning, there was this restaurant that I heard about, or it's like a bakery that has amazing baked goods. And I was like, okay, perfect. We'll go get donuts there in the morning, maybe do a little bit of shopping. And then our HOA pool just opened. And I was like, and then we can go have a pool day. I can finally get in my swimsuit and be in the water. And that's all that I want. And then the weekend leading up to that, it was we were keeping our eye on the pool because it was supposed to open 4 or 5 days before my birthday, and the pool wasn't filled up. And then it was starting to get filled up, but it looked pretty nasty. And then we got an email from the HOA saying, hey, there's mechanical issues. It's still not ready to be opened. And so that just kind of put a huge twist on that. And then I also found out that the donut place that I wanted to go to is not opened on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So that wasn't going to work either. And so I felt as Sunday ended, before Tuesday birthday, that all of my plans started to get into a flux. Everything that I had envisioned, everything that I wanted was not turning out. And usually that's not a huge deal. You just roll with it and just change your mind. But for whatever reason, I got really into over planning this and really stressing about it because I just wanted it to be such an easy and fun day. And so I woke up on Tuesday to, of course, a really sweet happy birthday, moment from Dave. I am kind of a brat around my birthday, and I really like to be told happy birthday all the time by him. I don't expect this kind of treatment from any other people, like my friends or people. Like it's not that way. But with him, I just love for it to be like a fun thing between us where it's like, it's your birthday or it's almost your birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I don't know. It's a thing between us. It's probably really silly. So we woke up and I was like, all right, like I've decided, let's go down to Snooze for breakfast. And I had found this donut shop that was near Snooze. And then, so we were like, okay, perfect. Let's go to Starbucks, get our Starbucks drink, like, cause a free drink on your birthday. So we pull into the drive-thru and I'm like, hey, like I go to order Dave's drink, which is just like an iced coffee. And so I'm like, hey, one iced coffee. And they're like, we don't have any of that. And I kind of blinked for a second. And so I guess this is a good moment to say, like, I used to be a barista at Starbucks. I worked at Starbucks for a long time. I know that recently they're having a lot of shortages and things, and I believe in being like very nice to those people because I used to be one of them, and everybody deserves respect, and working in service industries is a very difficult job. But like Starbucks doesn't really run out of iced coffee. Like what she should have said, which was honest, is like, hey, we ran out right now, but we're making more. But that, like, she didn't say that because I think she was probably having a bad day, whatever. So she's like, yeah, we don't have that. Like, do you want something else? And of course, Dave doesn't drink anything else. So I was just like, you know what? We will just not right now. We will come back at a different point or go somewhere else. So then I asked Dave, I'm like, hey, well, why don't we just get coffee at breakfast and then hit a Starbucks after? He's like, great. But then as we're driving, I'm like, well, like donuts and coffee is like the thing. So like maybe we should get coffee before we go do donuts, or like what should, and he's like, well, there's probably a place that has like coffee like near the donuts. And so I was like, well, okay. So somehow, and I can't even remember now, this is going to sound like such a stupid story. And I'm almost ashamed to be admitting all of this or retelling this, but it has a good point in the end. So we like switched up the plan. We were like, let's forget going to that Snooze. Let's go to the one at Union Station. And then I was like, okay, perfect. Well, there's a different donut shop down that way I've been wanting to try. So we find a parking spot. We go get these awesome donuts. I believe it was the Habit Donut Dispensary, something like that. They do like, they specialize in like donuts that can be like alcohol soaked. And I believe they're also some kind of like marijuana dispensary, but like we weren't doing any of that. Like I just heard they had awesome donuts, and they had so many donuts when we walked in. Of course, like we're being good right now. We're not like overdoing the donut thing because Dave had bought a cake for later too. So I was like, we just need like a donut each. Dave's likes very classic, so he got like a glazed donut. And then I was even feeling like I want to try all of these, but I'm just going to pick one. So I got this raspberry donut, which was amazing. And so we got some coffee, ate our donuts. It was like we're off to such a great start after, well, it felt great after that little mishap with the Starbucks. So nothing was a big deal. So we start driving over to Union Station, and suddenly I just feel like it turned into such a cluster. Like I could not find parking, and like it was almost comical, but it was so stressful because like in the text for like being on the wait list for Snooze, it was like, you know, you have to check in by 12:06. And I was like, at first I'm like, no problem. It's like 11:45 or 11:40, like it'll be fine. So we're circling, and then 5 minutes goes by, and then we're circling again. And I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm just like, literally just give me one thing here, universe. And it was like such a hard no after hard no. It was like, and it was getting more and more and more stressful. And of course I'm driving, and Dave is awesome in so many ways, but in that kind of situation, like, well, one, what can he do? But two, like, he's not like Mr. Director. So I'm getting more and more worked up, and I finally like go like way over in the other direction and then end up like in another crazy situation. And then finally, after like 20 minutes, we park and we're like running towards Union Station, like don't want it to get canceled or whatever. And like can't find it because it was our first time there. And I had realized like I had been picturing in my mind that we would just be able to like sit outside, like have this really like leisurely, like brunchy, awesome birthday moment. And instead, like we check in and it literally feels like you're in a tiny airport, and they place us like on a booth between like two other people like crammed into this little area. Like it must have been like an 8-foot bench, like doing 3 tables. And I don't know about a lot of you guys, like if you've done much going out since, things have opened up so much more. Like I have a little bit, but I prefer to be outside, and I was not expecting to be seated that close to people, and there's like high tops right nearby, and I got so overwhelmed, and I should have just spoken up and just been like, I don't want to do this. Like, let's just get out of here. But at this point, it's like it's afternoon. I'm starving, like from needing real food because like I had the donut, but now I'm like obviously like sugar, whatever. And I'm really, really, really anxious. I just had this like rough parking moment and was scared. And like, I am in Enneagram type 1 to the max with like following rules. And so like, and then and then Dave wasn't saying anything. So like in my mind, I'm like, he's fine, so I should just be fine. So we like get through breakfast, and I was just trying to keep myself kind of calm. Like I actually had to take like one of my anxiety pills because I was really, really stressed. And I was a little disappointed. I could tell that Dave could see that I was a little disappointed, and I didn't want to be like a downer because I'm like so grateful. I felt like I should have just been so grateful to be like out and having this moment at all, and like not had built up my expectations, but instead I was like a little bit disappointed, with just how chaotic it was, and it wasn't what I thought, and then whatnot. Anyway, we leave, we try to make the best of it. We kind of talk about it in the car, and he was just like, I was ready to, when you couldn't find a parking spot, just say like, let's just forget it. And I'm like, why didn't you say that? Like, I was feeling that same way. And it was just one of those things where it's like, when we're both not saying what's on our mind, it's really hard. And it's something that I've been thinking just a ton about because, Dave and I are working through a lot of our just learning how to communicate better with each other. It's like our couples therapist is talking about like learning the dance that we do and then like changing the steps. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel like I have a tendency in many of my relationships, including my relationship with Dave, where I'm the leader, like I'm the boss, like I'm the one who's figuring things out and demanding and want things a certain way, or sees a plan and can help and can react quickly. Like there's a lot of reasons why. And actually this leads me to another thing is like, I saw this TikTok actually that was talking about Virgos specifically, which if you ever like hear people talk about, like the zodiac or astrology, you can of course identify with your sun sign, but you can also use whatever people say. If your rising sign, it also connects. So for me, I'm a Virgo rising. I'm a Cancer sun, but a Virgo rising. And this person was like, the thing that nobody wants to say about Virgos is that Virgos do not want to plan. They will plan. They can make a plan. They're good at planning, but you want to do something nice for a Virgo, let them not be in charge. They actually do not want to be in charge. And I really was feeling that then, is like, there's certain times that I'm just like, I just want to be the one who like, can I put out there what my vision is and then have somebody else make it happen? And I know that with that, there comes the absolute element of being able to let go of control. And like, once you hand it over to somebody else, you have to be like, whatever happens, like happens. But I wish that I would have just done that to begin with, because I messed up my birthday plans. And I went and ended up going to get my nose pierced, which is something I'd been debating doing for a long time. And I was really glad I had Dave just to be like, let's just go do that. Like, let's reset. Let's get your nose pierced. That'll be good. It'll be something you've wanted to do anyway. Let's go do that. So we did. And that has also been interesting, because I used to have my nose pierced on my right side, and back when I was like 20, and now I'm getting these like phantom like muscle memory, because I know I have the nose ring, but like I keep thinking it'll be on my right side. So like when I go to wash my face or things like that, it's like muscle memory is coming back, but it's for the wrong side. So I end up like bonking my nose ring all the time, which is not good. I mean, it's fine. But anyway, so did that, like got a cake. My family ended up coming over. We all kind of just hung out and had dinner, and it was a much more laid back night. And then the pool actually opened. So like towards the end of the night, we were able to go and like sit in the hot tub, and it all ended up being great. But it's so funny, because in last week's episode, I was talking about, just the lessons I've learned in letting go of control. And yet everything I'm feeling right now has to do with me trying to hold on to control, or trying to feel as though, not even trying, actually feeling as though it is up to me. Like I'm falling back into my patterns of feeling like it is on me to accomplish things. And it's something that I'm trying to take a moment, like a timeout, and really not just be insightful and say like, yes, I am so insightful. Look how much my control issues are rearing up right now. But actually use that insight to help create behavior changes. And that is something that I have really realized that I need to keep working towards actively, is participating in different behaviors around what I'm noticing. It's easier said than done, right? And I will say, as we can kind of segue into our astro segment, we just came off of this like incredible summer solstice. It's been such a beautiful summer so far. At least it's felt that way to me. And on Thursday, there was this beautiful full moon. I like caught it right in the evening as it had risen up, and it was a super moon. It was like this beautiful reddish orange color. And there had been this beautiful like red sunset that night too. And I just really found myself like and it was interesting, because usually during the full moon, like there's a lot of tears, or there can be space for a lot of tears. And this was actually like one of my first around my birthday times that I wasn't crying. Usually birthdays bring up a lot of tears for me. That's been a very common thing, but that didn't happen. Even during the full moon, I was just feeling like in the flow mostly. Minus my story. But like in general, coming back to that state of being in the flow, like things are going well, I've got this, things are moving forward. And then Friday night kind of rolled in, and these huge thunderstorms. And I had a wedding on Saturday, and I kept checking the forecast, and it looked relentless. It looked like rain, heavy thunderstorms, like pretty much through the entire time we needed to shoot. So I slept horrible that night, because as a wedding photographer, and I'm not going to speak for every wedding photographer, but for me, doing what I do for people is something that I take so seriously, and something that I don't think that I'm the most amazing wedding photographer in the world. I don't think my photos are the best photos ever. But what I do feel makes me a unique and wonderful photographer to work with is that I so understand the priorities of my clients. And this couple, who I just absolutely love, they're friends of my friends, and they've become friends towards me. Like, they're just lovely people, wonderful people. Been planning this wedding for a very, very long time. And photography was one of the most important things to them. ordered all of these books and albums, and like, it's so wonderful. And I just kept thinking, like, what am I going to do if it's raining so hard that we can't be outside? I've only had to deal with this a handful of times. And usually the strategy is take advantage of any dry moment you can find. So if it's dry for 2 seconds, like, get out there with your bridesmaids. If you have enough time to do all the family photos, do that. Like, just use what you can throughout the day. And this wedding ended up, honestly, it was beautiful. They did have to move the ceremony indoors because it started raining really heavy, like right as the ceremony was supposed to start. So that kind of threw things a little bit. But when it went time for the first look before the ceremony, the sun actually came out. We were able to get through all of the wedding portraits and wedding party photos and have a lot of fun doing all of that. And it was beautiful outside. And there was other pockets later in the afternoon that we were able to steal them for a couple photos too. So overall, I feel like it went really great. But it kind of started this feeling of being in resistance and the feeling of, I guess, kind of working against the grain, or like this uphill battle type of feeling. Obviously that had nothing to do with the wedding, but just, combating the rain, trying to figure all of that out. And then it feels like ever since kind of things switched to this weekend, it was like, okay, this is it. This is the final weekend of June. July starts, like, everyone's talking about July 4th. And I'm not a really huge 4th of July person. Like, it's never been a huge thing for me. It's my sister's birthday is around this time. So that's more of the thing for me, is celebrating her birthday. But then also for us, Dave is heading home to be with his family. And he's so excited, and we've put a lot of towards this so that he can go have a really great trip and go out there and do what he needs to do, because he hardly ever gets to go home. Like, he's been out here for, oh gosh, I have to do math quickly, like a long time, since 2008. And he's only been back a handful of times. So we're just trying to figure out that. And I know that he has a lot of work that he needs to get done. He has a lot of work that I need for him to get done before then. And I'm just trying to switch everything over from like wrapping up June to getting ready for July. And I want it to have all of this same positive, great, like forward moving energy that I've been feeling. But then what I've been feeling ever since I got home from this wedding, so really that's not much. It's like yesterday and today. I've just been feeling this heaviness that I can't just fake my way through. And maybe it's just that I'm tired. Maybe I need to sit and actually just acknowledge, like, wow, you've been going really fast. You've been going through a lot. You need to drink some water and chill out a little bit and let yourself reset. And I think there's some truth to that. But I also think it comes back to letting go, and really, really letting go, and realizing it's not my job to, make sure Dave has a great trip. It's not my job to even make sure he has everything he needs. And that I've been doing is such codependent, enabling behavior. But I can't help myself. I don't know what else to say about that other than, like, I know I need to let go. Do you ever feel that way? Is like, what you need to do, but sometimes that actual doing of it feels so far away. And even just saying that, it makes me want to get onto my yoga mat so bad, because I feel like that is the place where I understand what it means to let go, at least a lot of the time. Because when you can shut everything else out and just focus on your breath and feel your feet on the floor and let your body move into different shapes, there is a level of letting go that happens inside of the body that sometimes the rest of the, mind and behaviors can catch up to. And so maybe that's what I need to do right after I finish recording this, is go let go. And I'm somewhat sorry that I didn't do that before recording this, because sharing a bit from within is so important. But the last thing that I want is for this podcast to ever feel like I'm just complaining or talking about things uselessly. I want it to be worth it to share that little bit from within. And I know that many of you out there too have some of those similar struggles with like wanting to control everything or wanting to feel like, or not even wanting. It's not a wanting all the time. Just simply feeling like it's up to you to take that stuff on, that to make things happen, or if things go wrong, feeling like it's your fault. And I've been feeling like this a lot lately. Sometimes my job will trigger this inside of me, and I've been working really, really hard in my life to change that kind of limited belief that's happening. And what I've been reminding myself is like, I am a great worker, but I am not my work. I am not my work. So even if somebody doesn't like what I do or somebody doesn't value what I do, I literally the other day was on a phone call with a client, and we were talking about the timeline and the kind of going back and forth about how they wanted to use their time, which is totally fine. I'm always up for either adding on more time or changing things around so that they get the most value out of their time with me. But one of the people literally said, like, it's just not even worth it. And I felt like such crap after this moment, because I was like, do you even realize that you basically just said that like what I do is not even worth it to you? It felt so bad. But anyway, I have to remember that has to be fine. There are people who will not see you as, who will not see your work as worthy or as good enough, or it will not be what they want. Or, sometimes people just have a lot of expectations, and like they'll bump up into what you can do. And it's not good or bad. Like I have to always remind myself, like I am not letting people down with my work. And even if they are let down, even though I tried my best, even though I go above and beyond, or I try to fulfill every single thing we talk about, even if I do that and they're still let down, I have to still remember that doesn't make me bad. That doesn't make me not worthy. I am not my work. I, Felicia the human, am worthy. I can, and this is really hard for me, but it's like I really have to like have these conversations with myself where I have to remember like I can be not perfect. I can wish I had more time to pick out, just every single perfect photo for every heading on my website. I wish I could spend all day curating a beautiful Instagram gallery. I wish I had all of the confidence in the world to showcase myself on, Instagram or whatever. I wish I had more time to do a lot of things that I feel all of this pressure to be good at, and I'm not. But none of that has to do with who I am. None of what I, put out there or that I create has to do with my worthiness. And that is really, really hard for me to get all the way through my head, because it's like, I get it, but sometimes I have a hard time really, truly living it. So that's where I'm at right now. It's not all pretty. It's not all put together. There are pieces that are together. There are pieces that are shifting. There are pieces that are super messy right now. And that's a bit from within. Like that's where I'm at. And, it's funny because I just saw this astrologer. I'll do a brief astro check-in. I just saw this astrologer talking about how there are going to be some tricky placements happening as Mars moves into Leo this week. And actually, Venus just moved into Leo. Mars is moving into Leo. And so there's going to be this, I believe it is Mars opposite of Saturn. So they're opposing each other. There's creating some tension there. And then kind of between the two, like off to the side, so kind of creating like a square, is Uranus. And it was just creating a lot of tension. It was like, you're going to need all of your faculties kind of on board to help combat this. And I just thought, oh gosh, I just don't know if I'm ready for that. Another astrologer that I listened to said something about it'll be like kind of like gasoline is everywhere. And it's like, if you just light that one mark, like you will start the fire, right? Like, it's kind of like if you if you poke the bear is going to wake up. Like, that is what the vibe of this weekend will be. And maybe I'm just picking up on all of that just a little bit early. But actually hearing that made me think and realize deep inside of myself that, like, I don't have any energy for that right now. Like, I crave peace and quiet. I guess I go back to my birthday wish. I just want some peace and quiet. So I guess the first step to getting that will be to stop talking. So let me go ahead and do our card drawing and see if there can be a little bit of advice for any of us feeling whatever we're feeling right now. All right. We always get the card we need, right? So this is from the Love and Relationships Affirmators deck. And the card that I pulled is called Harmony. And it's this adorable, like, two raccoons that are doing partner yoga together. They're doing tree pose and they've got their palms next to each other. And it's really cute. And it says, I know in my heart that when something is right, it feels easy and breezy, even though that sounds cheesy. With this in mind, I banish all stress, insecurity, and tedious work from my relationships. Then I invite harmonious relationships into my life and let them show up on their own time. Easy breezy things are rarely punctual. I'm having to look up to blink away tears right now, because even though it might sound silly, that card just means so much to me right now. I think more than peace and quiet, I just want things to be easy breezy right now. And things can't be easy breezy when you're constantly expecting things to be a certain way. So time to let go. Always, always, always time to let go. Time to trust the process and also banish some of that I like how they said stress, insecurity, and tedious work. Amen to that, right? Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope that, just sharing and whatever it is, maybe it connects to that place within you, helps you realize that, you're not alone, or helps you think about something else in a just a different way. Sometimes we just need a little bit of that. I know I do. So please always feel free to share with me any of those takeaways or thoughts. I'm always here. You can connect with me on Instagram at A Bit From Within, or you can, of course, shoot me an email. Check out our website, www.abitfromwithin.com. We have our Patreon. So if you're looking for more like live yoga classes, meditation, ad-free versions of this podcast, please join us on the Patreon site. And just lots of cool stuff happening and will continue to happen as time goes forward. Thank you all for supporting me, and we'll talk to you next week.